This is Join Us in France, episode 83. Hello, I'm Annie, and Join Us in France is an independent travel podcast where we talk about all things French, but mostly travel. If this is your first time listening to the show, I'm very happy that you found us. And if you're a returning listener, well, I'm even more happy that you came back because it means that you liked it. So thank you. Today, I'm very excited to bring to you part 2 of Matt's trip to France. It's his trip report. Matt took a 3.5-week vacation to France in the summer of 2015 with his wife and 2 daughters who are 5 and 9. And they had such a great time that he wanted to share with the Join Us in France community, which is lovely. Thank you, Matt. He has all sorts of good advice for people traveling to France with children, so stay tuned. In episode 81, he told us about their time in the Loire Valley and the Dordogne. And this week, we get into their time in Provence and the Alps, specifically Chamonix. They really love the Alps, as you'll hear. And it turns out that since I haven't been since I was a kid, well, here's one more place that I need to go back to visit very soon. For show notes and Matt's detailed itinerary, go to joinusinfrance.com/83, where you can also see how all these mysterious French words are spelled, because I don't take the time to spell them all out on the show. If you'd like to share your experiences in France with the Join Us in France community, drop me a line and we'll talk about it. But if you're not up to doing a whole show, you can still share some gems with your fellow listeners. A few days ago on Facebook, I asked if you could share some of your friends' photos on the Join Us in France fan page, and several of you did just that, and they were really great photos. Thank you. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, why didn't I think to ask them for more specifics? Maybe where you took the photo, what you thought of the place, would you recommend it to other people? All that sort of stuff. It would be really good. So next time you're on Facebook, search for Join Us in France and add a post with a photo and share it with us. Just tell us a little bit about the place, what you liked, what you didn't like maybe. Anything you find relevant that might help others plan their vacation. Maybe you found a great restaurant, a great hotel, I don't know, a wonderful tour guide, a museum that you particularly liked and isn't so well known, maybe a great spot for photos, a great beach. Between all of us, and this show gets around by now, we know about a lot of things. So don't be shy and share. And once again, I want to thank you for your support. A big thank you to Amanda Durbis for her generous donation. It really makes me feel good that you don't have to give me any money. This show is free and it will remain free. But there are people, when they find the show interesting and helpful enough, they decide to go ahead and support it. And that is so appreciated. Thank you, Amanda. And also, thank you for those of you who choose to support the show by going to joinusinfrance.com support or joinusinfrance.com Amazon, where you can see ways that you can support the show when you purchase things on Amazon. All right, I'm done with the announcements. Since Elise isn't here to make funny faces at me to make me stop, I know I'm going on too long. But you'll be pleased to hear that she'll be back very soon. All right, here's Matt. How are you?
Very good.
Thank you so much for coming back for part 2 of our conversation on your fabulous trip to France.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
As promised, I want to know why you didn't stop in Toulouse. Explain yourself, young man.
Well, I have to say that after listening to several episodes about the southwest of France on Join Us in France, I've definitely become more interested in spending time in the Toulouse region.
Oh,
however.
Oh, gee. Okay.
On these long travel days, we kind of decided that we were just going to make a commitment to getting from point A to point B and pretty much only stop at rest stops along the way. We felt that would be the least stressful way to do it, as far as just with the kids just committing to a long drive, than to break it up and stop at a place and park and figure out things to do along the highway. We'd also heard a couple things in the planning, which I'm not sure how germane they were in the end, but there was a lot that we had read that said if you're it might not be the best idea to have your car loaded with your things as you park it somewhere in the city and go looking around. Maybe true, maybe not true.
Well, no, it is definitely true. You want to be careful about that. But one way to avoid issues is if you park in a underground parking lot that has surveillance. Because you can be sure that, the underground parking lots have cameras everywhere and they're watched over. So that would be a little safer than parking on the street if you have to do it,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I had also heard that these Saturdays in the summer are kind of epic for traffic and travelers. So we figured that as long as we were moving, we didn't want to risk it and stop and then maybe get snarled. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was
passed this time.
Yeah. I'll tell you though that I am certainly interested in going to Albi and other stops around Toulouse.
Yeah.
And we did consider, well, maybe we can, spend some of the portion of the day in Albi. And they were like, let's just get to where we're going and then.
Yeah. I think if it's a travel day, then I get into that kind of rut as well, If we're going somewhere, I just want to get there and unload and be done. So I probably would have done the same, to tell you the truth. So I'm just chiding you, but.
I do have a question though about our experience as going through Toulouse. So we're on the highway and we get to what I would say the outskirts of Greater Toulouse.
Right.
And then we pay the toll and then we no longer have to pay tolls, but then the speed limit goes down to 90 kilometers per hour.
Correct.
And it was kind of surreal because it's this massive highway and you feel like it's crazy because you're going
crawling
really slow.
Yes.
Is that in all cities?
Not all of them, but more and more. And it's a pollution control thing.
Oh.
Because cities, we have a problem. I mean, in the whole world, the faster you drive, the more emissions you create. And so they want to avoid ozone problems and other problems. I don't know. It's not anything that I know that much about, but it's because of pollution. And the bigger the city, the more likely you are to see this. And as a matter of fact, they're talking about going down to 70.
Oh boy.
Which would really be a crawl. But I didn't think I could get used to, because it used to be 110. And, I didn't think I could get used to it, but now I'm used to it. So you do get used to whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a painful, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I never would have come up with that reason. I felt that was the one part, one of maybe a handful of parts in the driving that I felt I really needed to be careful not to speed because my instincts just said we were going way too slow.
Yes. Well, yeah, you go from 130 to 90 and eventually you'll be going from 130 to 70. But you know what? In Barcelona, it's already that way. You have to go, you get out of the freeway approaching Barcelona and they take you down to 120 and then 60.
Wow.
Just like that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But it's because of pollution. Yep.
So this was our longest driving day.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is our longest driving day. So we committed pretty much the whole day between, packing and saying goodbye to our hosts and the Dordogne and doing the drive and making stops along the way. We stopped at a rest area, which was the most beautiful rest area I've ever seen. It was on the Canal du Midi and had a lot of Canal du Midi type of tourism, I guess, for lack of a better term. It had a wonderful
restaurant. Do you remember
restaurant.
Approaching what city?
It was before Carcassonne.
Okay.
But pretty close.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever stopped at that one. I've seen it many times.
It may have been called the rest stop of Canal du Midi.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But it had a wonderful restaurant and a playground, and it was a nice break considering how easy it is to get off the highway there, and it was a good time. We probably spent over an hour there.
Well, yeah, and that's a really good way to break it up. You know, to not, especially with kids. Did they have activities for the kids at that stop?
Yes. Yep. At that stop, and then I think a couple others as well.
Right. They often do in the summer when the freeway rest stops will have something that the kids can do, and I think those are really good to participate in if you have children.
Yeah, I think my daughter's got like jump ropes or something. So they were confused. But
why they don't do jump ropes?
No, the kids were confused why these French people were giving them things, basically.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't understand what they were saying, but yeah.
Well, you do pay for the freeways, and so they try to make it more enticing for families, and they also want to slow you down. They don't want people driving, 10 hours a day. If they can slow you down, make you stop, walk around, wake up a little bit, then it prevents a lot of accidents.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so you did your whole long drive, and you got to Beaucaire, right?
Tarascon.
Tarascon, yes.
Tarascon, okay. Yeah, so that's where we decided to stay. We rented a gîte there as well. It's actually just outside of Tarascon. What do you call it when you're outside the town? Is that still Tarascon, or is that
Tarascon? Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's Tarascon. You're just outside,
just outside
suburbs.
Yeah. And we chose that location because it's a little more difficult to find a place in Provence because things are more expensive.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have a pool because we kind of anticipated that it would be hot and that perhaps the things we'd be doing wouldn't be as engaging for the kids as the Dordogne or the Alps. So we wanted to say, well, I'll have a fallback and have a pool to go to. So to find a place with a pool that was kind of within our budget and centrally located, we ended up in Tarascon, which was a fairly interesting city, but not a big tourist destination. Right.
It wouldn't occur to me to send people to Tarascon. It's like a regular French city.
Yeah, that's right. But it was very well located, considering there were things we wanted to do south of there, east of there, west of there, north of there.
Right.
So that served us well, considering we would have had to drive, regardless of where we stayed.
It's a good central place.
Yeah.
And that's very important to consider.
And so that's why we chose that. And then from there, we settled in, and then the next day we went to the market in Beaucaire. Is that how you pronounce it?
Beaucaire,
yeah. Which is nice, a very densely packed city center, very nice market. And the Provence markets were particularly amazing, really, in the selection and the types of fruits and vegetables and the fish products and the tapenades. We immediately bought 6 different tapenades, which everybody loved.
That's funny. 6 different ones, huh? So, okay, I know of a few. I know the ones with tomato.
Yeah, so we had like black olive, green olive, artichoke, which was our favorite.
That was your favorite, artichoke?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And then there's tomato and couple others.
They have peppers usually.
Yeah. What I liked is that the salt cod mousse. Is it brand cod?
Yeah, la brandade de morue.
Yeah, I love that. I just ate that all. Kids didn't really like that one.
It is very tasty. It's cod, so it's cod that you've let. Well, if you make it at home, cod is usually sold as a salted fish. So you have to get rid of most of the salt. And then you add mashed potatoes and garlic and maybe some cheese. I don't make it from scratch, so I don't know if you add cheese or not, but it's very tasty.
Yeah, I attempted to make it when we got home. It came out pretty good, but not as good as what we had in France.
Yeah. It's like anything. It takes some practice,
Yeah.
So that's not something you can find in the U.S., huh? I've never tried to find it in the U.S.
Definitely not. You can get tapenade, but it's expensive. But you cannot get, salt cod mousse or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, good. And then you went to Beaucaire.
Yep. And then...
so that was for the market.
That was for the market.
But of course, as you see the market, you see the town, because the market is right downtown. So
Yeah.
Did you find it difficult to park?
Yes. That in that town, yes.
Yes.
We did have to park a bit of ways away.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it definitely, what I really love is you go from region to region. It's like a whole different feel. So here where it's like much more densely packed, a lot more people, than what we had seen in the Loire and the Dordogne.
Yeah.
And,
you should see the size of houses in Provence. A lot of people they're right on top of one another.
Mm-hmm.
They have like, even if they have a yard in quotes, it's like 10 square meters and you can't do anything with it. Like, it's very, very densely populated. It's a bit of a problem for me. I would have, for as lovely as I think Provence is to visit, I wouldn't want to live there. People are just on top of one another. It would just drive me nuts. And they're also more aggressive as far as driving is concerned. They have more of the, in your face kind of thing that you don't get in the Southwest. We don't get any of that. We're all like grannies and get around their own pace, So
yeah, I could definitely see all that.
Yeah.
One thing that was funny is as we drove into Provence, Erica said like, "Is there something wrong with the car?" And because we rolled down, because we could start hearing this like screeching noise, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So we rolled down the windows, and it was just the cicadas. They were so loud. It's amazing. They're so loud that they never stop during the day.
They are very loud. Yep.
So that kind of gives Provence definitely a special and unique feel to it.
And the scent is also, I mean, it smells like lavender and thyme and all these things. It's just a very different feel. It's lovely. It's really lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very nice.
And then you went to Carrière de Lumière?
Yep. And so the show that they're doing this year is the Renaissance.
Oh.
So I think you've described it in the past. It's, it's this big limestone quarry where they do a projection show.
Yes.
That's related to art and music, essentially.
Yes. And it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's awesome. It was unexpectedly really cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much you pay for it, but whatever it is, it's worth it. It might be like 16 or 18 euros per person or something.
Well, I don't think it was that much. I don't remember it being more expensive than other things. So it's kind of in the adult price, like 12 to 15 euros, and then Alice was like 9 or 10, and Nora was free, which was typical for pretty much everything we did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just so, and it doesn't matter what show they have. I've seen several shows there. I've loved them all. I haven't seen the Renaissance though. I'm gonna have to go back now.
Yeah. So they end with the Last Judgment by Michelangelo, which was kind of a problem for Alice, my 9-year-old daughter. It was a little bit graphic.
Bit too much.
So she did not appreciate that. But other than that, it was enjoyed by all.
And you're surrounded with the sound and lights, and it's just very fun. And you can stay all day if you want. I mean, I wouldn't want to, but you can stay. You can see it 2 or 3 times because each show is maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Renaissance show was about probably like 25 minutes, and then there's another show after that's like 15 minutes, which I assume they show like every year. Had like mushrooms and balloons and things.
Okay, yeah. That's more to show off what they can do with the place. Yeah. And this is the kind of place where you can just walk in, and if you walk in the middle of the production, you just stay for the next one. You just you don't sit. I mean, if you want to find a place where you can sit, you can. But your clothes are going to be all white because it's this white clay and it gets into everything. Your shoes are going to be white. Everything's going to be white, but it's so worth it. So beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's definitely a very good place to recommend because it's lovely. Did you see there's a castle nearby that has stuff for kids, but I can't remember what it was. It another Castelnau?
Les Beaux?
Well, Les Beaux de Provence is the village where Carrière de Lumière is, and there's
a big castle there. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the castle of Les Beaux. Okay.
Yeah, we were planning on going there, but it was too hot, and parking was difficult enough for the cave.
Yes.
And we saw that a lot of people were parking at the cave and walking up to Les Beaux, and we said, you know what, we don't really want to do a big walk up to a castle, so let's just skip it.
Yeah. That one's it's supposed to be a very nice one, but it's a bit of a hike. You know, and I haven't seen it either, but I have friends who went with kids and their boys loved it. They really thought, because it's another one of those with catapults and they simulate fights and stuff like that, and kids tend to really like all that. So
yeah, we were intending on going. This falls into the category of things we planned to do but cut out because of the heat.
It didn't make sense at the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And you have to be smart like that when you travel. Otherwise, you exhaust yourself and it's no fun anymore. I mean, you know, if you feel like taking it easy, just take it easy. It's okay.
I
You're
agree.
on vacation.
Yep. And then the next day was, we weren't planning on doing, but we substituted it in because it was so hot, and we went to Sainte Marie de la Mer.
Ah, yes.
And it happened to be market day there, which was great. I thought it was really cool because it's like now that you're on the Mediterranean, so it's got this Mediterranean feel. And
yes.
And then we went swimming in the Mediterranean there, and then saw some of the Camargue on the way out. So this was a day that we weren't really planning on doing those things. And then, but because of the heat, and we said, oh, let's go do it.
Yeah. Oh, and those are really nice places.
Yeah.
Did you get on the tiki boat?
No,
you went to the beach instead.
We just went to the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, you made the right. I mean, it's a good choice for kids. But in Sainte Marie de la Mer, when you go so far away, I mean, you drive along the beach, and I don't know which direction you're driving, but you're driving away from the village, and eventually you get to this place that has a boat dock, and they have these steam boats that you can take, and they take you onto through inside the canals to see the Camargue. But you see it from the boat, and it's lovely. But if you you don't get wet. I mean, if it's hot, you're going to be hot. So I think that was probably a very good choice for you to look at it that way.
Yeah, we just parked in the town. And, like I said, we didn't really plan much for this day. We just kind of showed up and went swimming.
Yeah. Did you go inside of the church in Sainte Marie de la Mer?
No, I didn't even. I walked by it, but yeah, I guess I should have.
Well, it's an interesting church because it's a pilgrimage church for gypsies, and so it's a very different church. Let's put it that way. I'll put some pictures on the website that I took. It's very, very different and very, just I like to go inside the churches anyway. So I did go in that one. And then you went to Vaison-la-Romaine.
Yep.
Well,
So
let's back up a little bit. Camargue. What did you do to see the Camargue? You just walked.
We just we started heading north after we were done with the Mediterranean Sea, and we just drove north, and we saw signs that said like Camargue this way, and we had a map and everything. We said, let's take this road that kind of cuts through the Camargue, and then stop along the way. There were a couple of viewpoints to stop at. We saw some horses, and we did not see the flamingos, but we did see wild horses. That was enough for us. We weren't going to spend hours there, but it was enough to go see and say, oh, cool, that's cool.
The flamingos are very shy.
Are they really?
Yes. Yes. Lots of people don't see them. Yeah.
That's good to know.
So, Vaison-la-Romaine.
So this was a day that I was excited about. But it turns out that the kids really weren't that interested in. We drove. It was a bit of a drive to get up there to the north, and it was market day there as well. And I think by now the kids had probably had enough markets, and it was very hot. And we saw kind of the Roman ruins from along the walk. And we said, okay, we're going to go see that. And the kids were kind of like, didn't we just see them? Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So we ended up going to a playground and eating a pizza and then moving on pretty much.
Yeah. Did you like French pizza?
Honestly, not really.
Not really? Yeah.
The cheese selection was a little different than what we're used to. They seem to have, as far as I can tell, Emmental cheese.
Yes.
On the pizzas.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to try something new. But in this case, we kind of like the
Yeah.
how the mozzarella
Anything
tastes a
for
little
you.
better. Yeah.
It's okay that you don't like everything. And I
Yeah.
find French pizza terribly overpriced as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very expensive. It's not that. I don't know. I can make do without pizza. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
So-
Suzette, what is that like?
So we did this, Côte de Rhône driving tour, which is basically up in the hills and through the vineyards and things.
Ah.
And it was lovely. And we stopped at this town, Suzette, which is one of the towns that was recommended to stop at. This town probably has 50 people living in it. So it's
wow.
very, it has one cafe, which as best I can tell is like the commerce of the place. And it has a very small church.
Yeah.
And it also has a winery where you can go buy
I was going to
direct.
say it sounds like my village, but we don't have a winery.
So I found it to be very unique and very beautiful. And, we stopped in the church. It was one of these put in a coin and the lights come on,
Yeah.
type of thing. And it was very beautiful.
That's cool.
And we bought some wine from the place too.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Yeah.
So is it red wine?
It was, as far as I know, and I'm not, a huge connoisseur,
Yeah.
but it was Côte de Rhône. So they were selling
Okay.
Côte de Rhône reds and rosés. And on the trip, we mainly drank rosés because of the heat and because
That's what
taste-
people drink.
that's what people drink.
Yeah.
So we bought a couple of bottles of Côte de Rhône rosés there.
And you like them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, very much.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. How much did you pay for wine usually?
5 to 8 euros per bottle.
Huh.
It was typical.
You're big spenders.
Yeah, well, I caught on, like the supermarket wine, you could go really, really low on the prices.
Uh-huh.
And then, but for the most part, we settled into buying our wine at the open air markets, which
Right.
tended to be in the 5 to 8 euro range.
Yes. Yeah. So there's
And when
more money at the open air markets.
Yeah, but then there's the specialty shops that are more expensive. So
Even more, yes.
yeah. So that's what we tended to do. And then when we were in the Dordogne, we drank a lot of Bergerac wine, which we thought was fantastic, and we can't really get that around here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Bergerac wine is it's famous. I mean, and there's a lot of wines like that you can't get anywhere outside of France because although I'm told that there are more and more wine importers, American wine importers that will come to these tiny production places and will just buy up the whole thing. So if they can only produce 1,000 bottles in the year, they buy the whole thing and it all gets exported to America.
Interesting.
So, it happens more and more, but it's still not everywhere. There's still plenty of places where, for a specific region, you just can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right. What's next? Then you went to Arles, right?
Yep. So Arles is the first place on our long trip that Erica and I had already been to in the past. So we spent 2 days in Arles in 2005 and liked it very much. So this was the first time we could say, hey, we were here before and we saw this before. And
Yeah.
so the kids got a kick out of that.
Uh-huh.
But this time the main thing we did was we went to the bull games in the afternoon, which my 5-year-old Nora absolutely loved. It was one of her favorite things of the whole
She
trip.
did. Wow.
So she was just cheering on the bull the whole time and like dancing, and she loved it.
Now, these are no kill.
No kill, no. It's
Right. Yeah.
eight men running around trying not to get gorged, trying to take ribbons off the horns of the bull.
Right. Okay. That's my kind of activity. I think I would get a kick out of that too.
But it was funny because I'm very much into planning and being prepared. So I had bought my tickets online in advance, and I'm probably the only person who did that.
That's right. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, people just show up. I mean, if it's full, well, it's full, but they just show up. Yeah.
It was nowhere near close to full. And I showed up with
Right.
my prepaid internet tickets, and the guy gave me like a look like, what is this?
Alien from space, these Americans. Well, but you never know. I mean, you never know. What if you can't get in and you wanted to?
Exactly. Yeah.
Your daughter wouldn't have enjoyed it so much.
But it was a great way to see the arena.
Right. Oh, it's the best way.
Yeah, because we can watch a little bit of the bowl game, and then you can go hang out in the arena concourse area and see everything and run around, and it was great.
And what was the ambiance like?
Seemed like local French people, as far as I can tell, just
Yeah.
hanging out. There weren't that many people there in the stadium. Everyone seemed relaxed and
Okay,
yeah.
so it wasn't crowded or
No.
rowdy or
Oh no, not at all. No.
people with kids mostly.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's very good.
Yep. That was fun. Parking wasn't as bad in Arles as I anticipated. We got a spot near the bus stop, and
Wow.
yeah, it wasn't that bad.
You didn't
Maybe
have
we
to pay
got
for
lucky.
it?
No, it was free.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had to pay for parking at Arles, and I'm the parking queen. So
Well, that's the
done. Well done.
That's the one place I was dreading trying to get a spot at, and it was fine. So.
Can you parallel park?
Oh yeah, yeah,
See, that's
But I
the
didn't-
trick.
yeah. I didn't have to here, but in many other spots, yeah, I did.
Right. If you can parallel park, then you'll find parking. If you can't, well, you're going to be driving around a lot looking for parking.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband, when we moved here, he said, "Oh, I don't parallel park. I just I don't even want to mess with it." Well, a couple years later, he was like, "Teach me how to do this because I'm tired of not being able to park anywhere." I'm like, "Well, told ya." And it's not that hard, really. I mean, once you get the knack, it's fine. So.
Yeah, once you get used to it.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to your next destination. So, would you recommend Arles for people with kids?
Yes, and I especially recommend the bowl games because it occupies some time and it's more relaxed than, as I said, just touring a city. The kids get tired of that, and so I had grand expectations of going to all of the Van Gogh easels as kind of like a scavenger hunt, and that ended quickly. Like, okay, we saw 2 of these. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's all the same. I mean,
Yeah.
and around there, Van Gogh stuff is okay. There's this expression in French, "attrape couillon." If there's any French people listening, they're gonna laugh. It means it's to catch the suckers.
Yeah.
And a lot of Van Gogh stuff around there feels just like that. I'm like, oh, again. Of course, Van Gogh went everywhere. He painted obsessively. And so he painted everything. You know, there's hardly anything in Provence that he didn't paint. So, stop making such a big deal out of it.
Yeah. You could pretty much look anywhere around where we were staying and see fields of sunflowers and say, "Wow, this looks like Van Gogh." Yeah,
exactly. It's everywhere. So,
So on the next day we headed east. So now we've had a day we go north, a day we go south, or 2 days we go south, and now we go east. So we went east to the Luberon area, and we intended to see Gord, Zukos, and Roussillon.
Right.
But, Gord was way too crowded, and we said, no, we're not going to do this. And then we went to the Abbey Notre Dame.
Yeah. Senonque. Yep.
So we went there, and there was no parking. It was completely jam-packed with people. No parking whatsoever. So we said, okay, no big deal. Let's move on. So we kind of just saw it visually from the road and said, that's fine.
Okay, so that's the one that everybody wants to see because they have the lavender fields.
That's right, yeah.
It's the iconic picture of the church with the lavender fields in front of it. Everybody wants that picture, and so there are millions of people. But I'm not sure if when you went there was lavender in bloom.
There was, yep.
There was, yeah.
Yep.
So that's why it was crowded. It's impossible. That's the kind of place where if you have somebody who can drop you off and then they go park 2 or 3 kilometers away and then walk back, then that's doable. Or if you have a bus driver, if you're on a tour and, your tour driver just drops you off and then you can see it. But if you want to park your own car, forget it.
Yeah. This was the first time on the trip. So we're a good ways into the trip now. This is the first time on the trip that we encountered kind of the tour buses and big crowds of foreign tourists.
Yeah.
Which I kind of expected more of over the course of the trip. So I was pleased that, this was really the first time that we encountered that.
Yeah. Provence and Paris is where you see this all the time. The rest of France, you have the occasional tour bus, but not all the time.
Yeah. So then from there, we just kind of proceeded to Zukos, which is where we intended to eat lunch. And we stopped at a lavender field along the way on the side of the road. It was very
there
beautiful.
you go.
Exactly. We got our picture.
You didn't get the Abbaye de Sénanque in the background, but you still got your lavender field, so that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
And it was very cool.
Joucas, so that's Joucas.
Yep, that's right.
You know, I have never stopped at that place.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was recommended in the guidebook that we used as a very small art-focused town that had a couple of nice cafes. And it was very beautiful. We ate lunch at the cafe, walked around town. It was very relaxing. And it was actually called out in the guidebook as having a quote-unquote nice playground. So we said, great, sounds perfect. So the kids played in the playground for about an hour while we relaxed by a vineyard, and it was very nice.
Very good. That sounds lovely.
Yep. And then on to Rousselon after lunch, and we did the Ochre Cliff hike, which was really surreal and cool.
Yeah, you have to tell me about that, because I haven't done that either. I mean, Roussillon, I've been to the Roussillon a million times, but I have not done this Sentier des Ocres that you went to.
Yeah, you kind of walk up to it, and you pay, I think it's €5 to get into the, I'll call it a park area. And they give you a trail map, and you go walking around, and it's the ochre is this deep, orange color. And there are these cliffs and I guess rock type features that are really interesting, like nothing I've ever seen before. And maybe the hike was 45 minutes, something like that. Not too steep. Kids had no problems with it.
No problems with it. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, fairly crowded, but not overwhelmingly crowded.
Yeah. I will have to find a link to all of these places that you mentioned, so that I'll probably put a list, if that's okay, the list that you already wrote. Is that okay if I put it on the website and share with everybody your itinerary, and that way they can follow along and see it in writing?
Yeah, no problem.
Because you might have lots of people following your good example.
So that was fun. And as contrasted to the Tuesday where we went to the north, this day everyone seemed to have a lot more fun, which was nice. So I saw the two as kind of equivalent, where we're driving to get to a pretty place and then seeing pretty stuff. But the kids preferred this, maybe because we had a long stop at the place with the playground, but they were more energized, I guess.
That's good. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of Le Sentier des Ocres, which is in Roussillon en Provence, and it looks like the western U.S. It looks like, places like, what do you call it? Like Zion's National Park and places like that in southern Utah.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel.
It's beautiful. It's probably not as big, but...
No, not as big, but yeah, definitely that kind of feel.
Looks very good. Another one that I have to go to.
Yep.
I'll never stop being on vacation.
Yeah.
That's my plan anyway.
And then for our last full day in Provence, we drove west and did the Pont du Gard and then the Haribo Museum.
Le Pont du Gard et le Musée Haribo. Wonderful choices. So you got to tell us about those.
So the kids were not, I have to say the kids were not impressed with the Pont du Gard.
With the Pont du Gard, they weren't impressed. Oh, wow.
No. I expected this to be kind of the really, one of the really cool highlights of the week. And they just weren't having it. Yeah, we saw it. They said, yeah, that's nice. But
there's a bridge. Bye.
There's a bridge, essentially. It was cool. And what was kind of interesting was, like I said, every place that we had gone up to this point had lots of picnic tables and had lots of encouragement to do your own picnicking, but we didn't see that here.
Nope.
So here we kind of intended to do that, and we were like, oh, what are we going to, like, we have to pretty much leave to go do our picnic. So that was
Pont du Gard is I mean, it's a lovely place and I recommend people go, but you have to come prepared, one, for the heat, because there's very little shade.
That was probably another reason why the kids didn't like it as much.
Yeah. And if you come with your swimming suit and all that, and the kids can get wet and be in and out of the water, it's not so bad. Also, you have to make sure, did you go all the way around did you find the museum and all that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because
right around where the museum entrance is, they do have some picnic tables, but they don't have enough.
Yeah, okay.
They have just a few, and and I don't think they even want you to bring your own picnic there. I think what they want you to do is buy because they have this mini sandwich shop where they have a ice cream shop and a sandwich shop and a few things like that. And I think that's what they want, is they want people to buy there and eat there. But there's too many people, you know. You can't.
That's right. Yeah, that was my impression as well.
Yeah.
So fun.
Well, that's too bad that they didn't like that.
Yeah. But it's funny how I always say, like, when you go on trips like this, I like to be prepared, but also be very flexible. And it's interesting to me that this day turned out to be not the kids' favorite, but the day in the Mediterranean, which we didn't even really plan, was one of their favorites.
They loved it. Yeah.
You never know. You just try to do your best.
Yep. But then, did they like the Musée Haribo?
Yes. Yeah. That was fun.
See?
Yep.
Yeah. That's a museum. Haribo is a candy brand, and I find it very good. And when you exit the museum, they show you how they make all the candy, and when you exit the museum, they sell you like lots and lots of candy.
Yes, indeed.
And it's very, I mean,
it was good. We brought back a lot of stuff for family and things like that. It was a fun time.
Yeah, that is a good place to buy a few food souvenirs, I guess.
So that's basically Provence.
That's basically Provence, huh, for you?
Yep. And then from there, we had our next big driving day. We drove up to Annecy.
Annecy, yep.
Annecy, yeah. And this
now
is
we're moving towards the Alps.
That's right, yeah. And this is now the second place where Eric and I had been in the past. We spent 2 days there in 2005 and really liked it. So we said, let's commit to a week there for this trip. And, unlike the other places, in this place, we rent an apartment right in the old town. So before, in the other two places, we were pretty much separated from the hustle and bustle of the crowds and things. And now for this last week, we're right in the middle of it, which made for definitely a unique and fun experience. So
That's
lots
cool.
of ice cream. Yeah, lots of ice cream, like just basically lots of evening walks in the city, which is just a beautiful city. Lots of tourists. That's fine that we planned for that. And it just kind of gave all of us, including the kids, a different experience now being like right there with the tourists and the tourist noise. And they had a street performer festival going on during the week. So there's all these bands performing all throughout the city, bands and shows and things going on pretty much constantly. And this was the week of July 14th, the Bastille Day. So there was a lot of, I think, activity because of that as well.
Yeah. That would make it very, either crowded, depending on if you like it or not. You'll call it crowded or you'll call it lovely. It just depends. Yeah. So the kids didn't mind Annecy so much. They enjoyed that.
No, they liked it. If both of them say, like, if they were going to choose like the week they liked the most, they liked the week 3 or the Annecy week the best.
Oh, wow. We
had a balcony that opened up right onto the main drag, and they just loved sitting there and watching the crowds of people going and watching the street performers. And then, they really liked being central and having kind of the city right there.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. And there were 3 market days during the week in Annecy. So 3 of the 6 mornings or so, or 5 mornings we were there, we had access to the market right beneath us.
Oh, so, that's really good.
Yeah. So it was really nice. And, as we go from region to region, we're switching types of foods. So now we're into like Alpine cheese and bacon and potatoes. And Erica made, tartiflette, I think it's called.
La tartiflette, of course,
yeah,
of course.
Which is really good. I had never had Reblochon cheese before this trip.
Really?
And I expected it to be a lot stronger than it was. But it was fantastic. It was a lot better than I had expected. I expected it strong and maybe a little bit too strong. But it was just magnificent. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the Reblochon is not a very difficult to eat cheese. It's actually pretty mild as far as cheeses go. And it's used in cooking a lot. French people don't, I don't know any French person who eats it just like that, like we eat other cheeses. Oh, and actually, in the first trip report, you told us you were going to tell us about cheese in France.
Oh yeah,
I'm curious what you thought.
So cheese was universally great from spot to spot. I'd say so we ate a lot of cheese in this week in the Alps. So in the Alps we had Reblochon, we had Gruyere, we had Tom de Savoie,
Oh, yes.
and
Yes.
I think one other. Oh, and Beaufort.
Ah, du Beaufort. Oh, I love
Yeah,
Beaufort.
yeah. So all four of those are awesome, and
Yeah.
so basically all of our picnic lunches involved some combination of those cheeses with some bacon and bread, and so that was just really exceptional. And in the Dordogne, we had a lot of Cantal, which the kids really liked.
Yeah. Oh, they like that? That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Because that
And-
can be a little bit, I don't know, can be a little hard on your tongue. Well, depending on which one you get. There's
yeah.
in
Maybe I
Cantal
got the
is,
mild one.
it's a broad name for various cheeses. So some of them are a bit hard to take, and some are good, obviously.
Yeah, in Provence, we pretty much had goat cheeses, which were great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fresh, and some
So-
with peppercorn, some with paprika, etc.
So what foods did your kids particularly ask for?
Well, ice cream was
Of
the
course.
top choice.
Of course.
Yeah. And then after that, my kids they liked sausages. They pretty much liked all the varieties of sausages that we moved through, whether it's Toulouse sausage or merguez in Provence or.
Oh, les merguez, of course. They
Yeah.
like merguez, huh? Not too spicy for
Yeah.
them?
No, and they like lamb. So.
Yeah.
That was fine. And, yeah, we had a lot of pork chops too. So they were into all that. We had mashed potatoes and things of that nature.
Did you stop at bakeries a lot for pastries, or mostly for bread?
So it was mostly for bread, because with my 5-year-old having the egg allergy, we really
Ah,
that
yeah.
much. From time to time, we would get Alice and I would go and get something, but we didn't really want to bring it into the house because then she would feel left out.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit limited there, but so mainly it was for bread.
Yeah. Well,
And
that
what
makes sense.
Yeah, and what we found was interesting in the Alps, that if you just ask for a baguette, they give you a whole wheat baguette, which kind of threw me. And then you have to ask for this particular baguette, traditional or something like that, to get the white
get the-
baguette.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it is. So after the first couple of days, we were like, well, why is this happening? I think we went on Wikipedia or something and figured it out.
Figure out
This
that
is what
over there it's the tradition to. I haven't
Yeah.
been to Annecy since I was a kid, so I didn't pick up on that myself either.
So some of the activities we did on that week, where we went on up the mountain to up the local mountain, I guess, and did the luge, or the alpine slide. The kids can kind of go down the track on the sleds, and saw some traditional alpine pastures with cows, and
That's cool.
yeah, had a nice picnic lunch over there. Bought cheese from the folks the farmers who own the cows up there, which was interesting. It's one of these ring the doorbell and wait, and then they come out and
That's cool.
fumble through some French to buy some cheese from them. So it was really cool.
That's really good that you did that, because most tourists wouldn't dare,
Yeah,
But that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to ring the bell and come buy some produce or some whatever it is that they. It's not something you do in America. I mean, I don't think anybody in America would put up a sign saying, "Hey, I make cheese. Stop in."
no, not really. No.
But in France, that happens a lot. People say, "Hey, I make cheese, or I make wine, or whatever it is that this person is good at," and you can stop in and try some.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So and of course we had Bastille Day there as well, which I might have kind of overstated in the planning, because I know my daughter Alice is really excited about 4th of July every year, and we were skipping 4th of July to go on this trip. So I kind of said, well, we're going to be there on Bastille Day, so it's probably the same.
Oh,
and
no.
It wasn't.
No. No, it's not. Bastille Day here is a very minor event.
Yeah. And I expected everything to be closed too. And in Annecy, just about, you wouldn't have known it to be any different from any other day in Annecy.
Yeah, it's tourist place. In Toulouse, things are closed, but but in Annecy, there's so much tourism. It's just not practical for them to close everything down.
Uh-huh. So we did see the fireworks. We were up, the place we were staying was kind of near the chateau, so we were able to just walk up to the chateau and hang out with a bunch of other families who were watching the fireworks from up there.
Very nice.
And that was nice. So that kind of redeemed Alice's expectations.
Right, because on the 14th of July, I wasn't there, so I don't know what you saw, but typically you're going to have a small military parade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Paris it's big, but anywhere else it's pretty small. And you're going to have like some dignitaries, and they're going to call a few names to give them various medals and awards. And maybe you'll have a military band playing something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And everybody goes home. It's really not a big deal. So
yeah. So maybe that was my misstep in kind of selling this trip. It's you won't get to see 4th of July, but yeah.
Yeah, Americans go all out for the 4th of July. French people, in general, French people are not, I wouldn't say that we're not patriotic, but we're attached to our food, our language, our traditions, family things. But as far as like country and honor and all that, not so much.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of French flags out.
No, we didn't. You're right.
As a matter of fact, putting out a French flag would probably indicate that you're like extreme right wing and
sure,
and that you're a bit of a nutcase. So most people, even if they would like to, they don't do it. It's like, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different.
Yeah. So during this week we spent in Annecy, we kind of took we took 2 of those days and spent them in Chamonix. So we got a hotel for one night in Chamonix and spent 2 days there. The first day doing the Aiguille de Midi and the Mer de Glace.
Oh, that's nice.
And then the second day going kind of to the other side of the valley and going up the chairlifts and cable cars on the other side of the valley. Mm-hmm. And the kids, all of us absolutely loved the activities there and being there. It was pretty magical, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Aiguille du Midi and Mer de Glace are absolutely not to be missed. I mean, I went, but I was very young. I need to do it again. It's everybody I've talked to has said that it's lovely.
Mm-hmm. It was great. And then the second day where we went to the other side, which I believe is called Le Brevant.
Le Brevant, yeah. Le Brevant.
Yep. And then Flégère.
Yeah, Flégère. Yep.
So those are 2 separate areas that you take cable cars and chairlifts up to. That might have been the best day of the whole trip.
Really?
Because the weather was amazing, and it was really, once you get up there, there's like nobody there. It's just us hanging out. There's snow up there, but it's like 80 degrees because it was really hot. It was really hot.
Yes.
So it was comfortable up there. We were in t-shirts and like throwing snowballs at each other.
Oh, wow.
And when you go up to Flégère, you take a cable car up that is just essentially the family, just the 4 of us in the cable car. And then that gets you up about halfway. And then the rest of the way is a chairlift. So you're just open to the air. And this was so fun that we just, it's a while. It's probably like 15 minutes to do the whole chairlift thing. Maybe that's an exaggeration, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But that was just so much fun that we just did that a bunch of times, the chairlift. Up and down and up and down. I mean, it's beautiful and
it's beautiful and peaceful.
And peaceful, yeah.
It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a bunch of other people around you, you have to imagine it in the winter. Everybody with their ski and all that gear and clumsy and all that. That it wouldn't be as magical, I would assume, but maybe it is too. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was just so impressed about, the price of the Chamonix experience. I think we paid €200 to get a 2-day pass that allowed us to ride. That's for the whole family, €200 to ride any of the chairlifts, any of the cable cars, entrance to the Mer de Glace, entrance to Aiguille de Midi, the train that takes you to the Mer de Glace, everything.
Wow.
And that is just such an incredibly good deal for what you can see there. I was just so impressed with with everything about it.
That's good to know. And did you book that in advance as well, or you just booked it when you showed up?
We booked it, I think 2 days in advance. So we booked it from Annecy because we weren't sure what days we wanted to go because we wanted to time it based on the weather. Because we knew if it was going to be cloudy, then it wouldn't be worth going. So we kind of said, once we get to Annecy, we'll start scoping out the weather and figuring out when we want to go there. So we booked it a couple days in advance. I think we could have again, this was another thing that we expected it to be really long lines and waits, but it really wasn't. We didn't have a timed reservation for the Agul de Midi. We just got our pass and got in line, and maybe 20 minutes later, we were on the cable car.
I think French people in the summer, most of them, they either go to the beach or they go visit family, drop off the kids at grandma's, wherever, in the mountains, countrysides, whatever. But there's not heavy French tourism going on in those areas in the summer. In the winter, yes, people go skiing, and that's a different matter. But in the summer, I think it's probably not super busy. They probably have infrastructure that could handle 20 times that many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's not super expensive. But it's great that you had such a good time there. It's encouraging me to go because it's not the first place that would stick into my mind as, oh yeah, you must go do that. But if it's that fun, especially with kids, that's a great place to know about. Yeah.
Yeah. From my point of view, when people ask me, what was my favorite parts of the trip, I'd say Chamonix and the Dordogne were a cut above everything else. I loved the whole trip, but I'd say those two places were just kind of exceeded my expectations to a large margin.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. Because, and also these are areas that have activities for different people, different ages. Because even if you're not super sporty, I mean, how difficult is it to get on a cable car and ride it and walk around a little bit and then back down?
Yeah, everyone likes to be outside looking at pretty stuff. So
yeah. Was there a lot of wildlife?
We didn't see any. We didn't go to the park that was dedicated to seeing a lot of the wildlife. So we didn't see much. There was up at the top of the Flégère, there was a goat farm. But that's not really wildlife. It's a farm.
Yeah.
So no, we didn't see much wildlife.
I'm surprised with the snowball fight. I wouldn't. I wouldn't think that there would be snow left.
Yeah, I mean, my impression was it just started. It was relatively normal weather up until when we arrived. Then it started to get hot. So maybe it's
okay. Maybe that was unusual.
Yeah.
Maybe it stays cool most of the year, and then that day was. And then we're winding down to your last day.
Yeah. So last day we just went swimming in Lake Annecy and kind of packed and we kind of told the kids, you can do whatever you want today. We're not going to force you to go tour things and got ice cream, and Erica made mussels and we bought French fries, but she made mussels and we had mussels and fries.
That's good. That's very French.
Yeah. And then that's it. And then next day we drove to Geneva and took flight home.
To the flight home. So you flew home. So did you just add a leg Geneva to Paris and then back?
No, we flew Iceland Air, so we flew into Paris and then home from Geneva.
I see. And Iceland Air was good?
Yeah, it was all right. It was good enough. Our original plan was to make it just a 3-week trip and to fly into either Toulouse or Bordeaux and then fly home from either Geneva or Lyon.
I see.
But the cost differential was huge. Flying into Bordeaux or Toulouse is much more expensive.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I do it all the time. It's horrible. I complain all the time. Every time I'm like, why is that last big bit of the trip so expensive? And
so we saved ourselves a lot of money by going to Paris, and that's when we decided to add the Loire, a couple of days of Loire into it just to break up the long drive.
Yeah.
And of course, it was a good move because the Loire is great too. So.
And the other way you could have done it is actually fly into Paris, drive directly to the Loire Valley, look around the Loire Valley however many days if you wanted to, or go straight to Dordogne. Because from Paris to Dordogne, it probably is a 5-hour drive?
Yeah, it seemed like it. It seemed like that's about right.
More or less. So it really wouldn't be too bad. I don't know if you'd want to do it the day you arrive, but I do that I'll do that sort of thing all the time. I don't mind driving. So, And then you just drive south. And then between Dordogne and, well, I don't know, it probably would be hard to drive across country between Dordogne and Annecy. It would be hard to do that without going south.
Yeah.
Far south. But you could probably do it if you stayed on minor roads. You wouldn't have any freeways. But if you stayed on minor roads, it would work.
Yeah.
So if people want to avoid, if they just want to do your highlights, Dordogne and then Annecy, it's totally doable with a rental car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like you had a good time.
It was a great trip, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of the planning alone, and now I'm thinking, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. Where are you going to go next year? Or the year after that? I don't know. Yeah. You haven't planned it yet?
I have not planned it yet, no. But I'll tell you, we've just really enjoyed being in France, and I'm inclined to do another trip in France with the kids, because I think it was just a nice balance of stuff that the kids enjoyed, and Eric and I really like the food and the wine and just kind of the feel of, the small towns and the regions. Really enjoyed it.
I think that's the very best of France is when I know people all want to go to Paris. And there's nothing wrong with Paris, don't get me wrong, but it's not real France. It's the capital, and the capital city of any country is different than the rest of the country. I think that's true everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Big cities are just different. So than not big cities.
It's like people say, people going to New York or Washington D.C. and saying, "Oh, I've seen America." Mm-hmm. Well, no, you haven't. You've seen New York,
a portion of America, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a portion. It's an important portion of America, but it's not America. So, so yeah. All right. Well, so do you have any recommendations for would-be travelers who are going to do this? Something that made your life easier?
Well, I would say, prepare as best you can. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we found fun to do was to get the kids kind of involved in the preparing. Is we set up a map of France, kind of on a board, and then we had the kids cut out pictures of the places that we were going to go to, and kind of stick them onto the board, and so that we could get used to it and be like, oh, this is where we're going, and this is what it looks like, this is where it is in France, and it was just kind of a nice thing to have kind of by the dinner table. So time to time we can just say, oh, that's kind of like what we're going to do here. And the kids had a ball like cutting out the pictures and talking about the stuff. So
do you think they're going to take French in school? They're going to want to learn it?
Maybe. Alice, we did a lot. So I brushed up on the French using the Pimsleur language CDs.
Which are very good, by the way.
Yeah, I thought they were very good. And I'm not sure how they'd be if I knew nothing, but I felt like since I had a little bit of background, I could jump into it, and it was really good at refreshing me and things that I need to know. So we would listen to those. Alice and I would listen to those on the way to and from her piano lessons. So she started to pick up some of it, which was kind of funny. And,
because the idea is it repeats things that you've heard before. It brings them back. I do that with my daughter who's doing Russian, and so sometimes in the car we listen, and I'm picking up a little bit of Russian in spite of myself. Like I don't really want to learn Russian, but but you hear it all enough times, you're gonna pick up a few sentences here and there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking all this time to tell us about your trip to France. I think it's going to be very helpful for other people to get a feel for if they want to do this or if they want to do something different. And that's what it's about, is figuring out what's going to work for your family.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Happy trails.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Au revoir. This brings us to the end of another Join Us in France travel podcast. You can leave a comment on the website, follow us on Facebook, or look for @ParisPodcast on Twitter. I put lots of information on Facebook and Twitter that never makes it into the shows. And also, this is a subliminal message. Join the mailing list now, today. You can do that on joinusinfriends.com. Look for the green button. Et c'est tout pour aujourd'hui.